to Medicine with the Metals. I'm Mark, and this is Michelle. Come join us on our psychedelic journeys. Hey, Michelle.
How's it going today?
Great. Fantastic. What a great week, huh? What a really great week this was. You know, a lot of great things that we've put on the Plant Medicine Path platform. And, you know, I think that we put this new class on there about the psychedelic integration coaches, and so many people interested in that nowadays. And also psilocybin coaching with Kirby. Some cool stuff, huh?
Yeah, very important stuff. People have been asking for it, and now the Plant Medicine Path is delivering. So come check that out. We're also going to be at PsychCon in May in Las Vegas. We're going to have about 8 of us representing. And then we're also going to be at PsychCon in where? In Denver.
October? Yeah, in Denver.
Next October. So that's coming
Absolutely.
up. So very
good
exciting
stuff, you know, really good stuff. We're going to have about 8-10 people with us too at PsychCon here in Denver. Going to be good stuff.
So today we've got Mark Howard from IbogaSoul. I think we're going to take a commercial break, and as soon as we get back, we're going to talk to our good friend Mark.
Tired of feeling like you're barely holding on? Are you searching online for answers, only to come up with more questions? Looking for ways to feel better and make life more livable? There is a way where you can feel better and take on the world. Transforming your mental health, nourishing both your body and mind. Embark on a journey to lasting happiness and vitality. All powered by the wisdom of Mother Earth.
Today we have Iboga practitioner Mark Howard. He is from IbogaSoul. He has been featured on the award-winning documentary Dosed, and he's also been on Psychedelic Frontier. Mark and I have my husband and I have a very personal relationship with Mark Howard and his wife Robin. So a funny story that I like to tell before we bring him on. My husband Mark and I were watching Dosed, I don't know, maybe about a year and a half ago. And he looks over at me and he says, I got to meet that guy. I want to talk to that guy. I love what he's doing. I love how he's serving medicine. I love what he's doing. I want to talk to him. And, you know, we're not really, I mean, we're just two people who are trying to get this started. We don't even know how to get a hold of this guy, but he did. And here we are, a year and a half later, and Mark and Mark are very good friends. We've all become good friends. Mark has been to IbogaSoul to see the Howards. We just saw them in Vancouver a couple weeks ago. Beautiful people. They're doing beautiful things. So I'm going to let Mark bring him on.
Let's introduce our good friend, Mark Howard. Hi, Mr. Howard.
Hi, how you guys doing? Great to be here today again.
Great to have you, brother. You know, let's first talk about you. Let's introduce you. Introduce yourself. Tell people who you are, what you do, what got you here.
Well, I came shooting out of the infinite space 50 years ago. Whatever happened, whether I chose to be here or this is just, you know, divine, circumstantial, exponential potential, I'm not sure, but it is what it is, and here I am. And so, you know, I went through trials and tribulations in life. Just, you know, I wouldn't say like everyone. I mean, mine definitely was specific, but I came into the world, and I feel like, you know, I at a young age, I can remember having a really good connection with sort of spirituality. And what do I mean by that? Just there was things in my dreams and in my life that I felt, you know, more beyond sort of this earth. Like what was being told and taught to me in the classrooms, you know, even by my immediate family at that point in time, friends and family, there was something like I knew that you know, I'd come from somewhere other than just popping into this reality. So, you know, that led into giving me a good foundation, you know, to keep me tethered through the chaos that I sort of engaged in. You know, I had to, you know, I had to struggle through like, low self-esteem at times. And, you know, alcohol was a big thing, at a very early age in my life. And I leaned on alcohol for everything. Social anxiety, relationships, having fun, doing this, doing that, sunsets, sunrises, that led into, experimenting with drugs. Experimenting turned into becoming a professional. A lot of like, just things that were available, like cocaine. Cocaine was great, solved a lot of problems in the midterm, in the in the moment, I guess you could say. What I perceived as solving, really what it was doing was dissolving. So eventually I joined up on a runaway train, where it was a battle between my potential, construction, and destruction.
Right.
Who was going to win? And so thank God my soul, this recognition of the more that was going on, I got a girl, I guess you'd say pregnant. There's not really much way to put that. And I was 37 and, I was at the peak of being out of control. Like I went to some psychologists and all these things, it never really worked for me, that kind of stuff. I think just because my rebellious nature was just always like finding holes in what they were saying, and it wasn't allowing it to attach and become something that I understood so that I could put into practice. But what was strong was my all of a sudden knowing, I had a friend 3 months before my child was born say, have you ever heard of Ibogaine and Iboga? And I said, no. He said, it's a plant medicine that's helping people, deal with their addictions. And for some reason, it resonated with me. There was a vibrational resonance, which I call truth, recognition, that said, hey, because I knew my spirit was speaking to me that I needed to change myself. I didn't want to bring a child into this world and be an example to him that was going to lead him down the same road. So I went and did Iboga.
What year was that? What year was that, Mark?
2011.
2011.
Yep. And I did Iboga 2 months before he was born. And, I went completely sober for 2 years. I fell off the train a bit. I had a bit of a wipeout. This is doing Iboga now. Right after I did it, I went back 6 months later. I went back another 6 months. I started training. I went to Africa for my first time in 2013, where I met my wife on the airplane on the way there, which has been great because we've always been aligned with the same, focus.
Was she going down there to do it as well?
Yeah.
On the airplane?
Yeah. She was with some other people I knew because this was our particular trip. So when I got on the plane, I was like, yes, she's going. Okay, good. And she sat beside me on the bus ride out to the village, and put an Iboga love spell on her in one of her first ceremonies. And here we are today, 2 children later. And, we have a good relationship. It's great. She's wonderful. She's very dedicated towards this path as well.
I think as you are yourself, you really dove into this pretty strong. Me and you have a very, very similar background. I think a lot of people who are in this space have that very similar backgrounds of traumas and just trying to get out of traumas, healing addictions with your traumas, so on and so forth. So what did it for you that first time? What do you think happened?
Well, God touched me and let me know that he was there. And so that recognition began me to trust, and that realized that I needed to elevate myself to something more divine instead of something hellish. And then as I did that, I began to learn to listen. I went back to Africa in 2014. We went back to Africa in 2015, got married. I went back to Africa in 2018. I opened up IbogaSoul 2014. We filmed Dosed in 2018. And I just
went dive into all this. We'll dive into all this, but let's talk first this. Let's say this.
Yeah.
Let's tell people what Iboga is, because a lot of people are scared, fear Iboga, especially even in this path of people that have taken plenty of psychedelics from ayahuasca to lachuma, psilocybin. Listen, I was afraid of Iboga till I met you.
If you could also talk about the difference between Iboga and Ibogaine.
Perfect, Michelle.
I mean, this is what Iboga looks like. You know, and it's from it's scraped off of a root bark.
Mm-hmm.
And inside that medicine, or what we call scientifically, we call alkaloids. So, you know, like say there's I think it's 12 to 14 alkaloids or something in the medicine. But that's a spirit. And so Ibogaine is one of those alkaloids that gets isolated. And, you know, Ibogaine is, I think, it's the biggest percentage of alkaloids in the medicine. And they notice it has profound effects for helping people with detoxing, especially with opiates. It has a magic quality that can actually, you know, without getting too scientific, reset receptors, you know, and offer spirituality as well. But, you know, working with the full medicine, there's different synergetic properties with the spirit. You know, I've heard someone say before, you know, Ibogaine's like Iboga's baby. You know, and sometimes for addictions, it's really good to do Ibogaine. I'm a huge fan. Like when someone's going through that initial steps and processes of getting clean and detoxing, it's very hard. Because a withdrawal, if you look at it, someone's withdrawing into their self. There's no open expansion. And so they're actually facing their greatest fears, not only on a physical level, but on a spiritual and a mental level. You know, withdrawals are very frightening. So sometimes all of these other components with the medicine can create too much uncomfortability for someone, and it makes it very difficult to go through the process. And sometimes they're just really not ready to face themselves, and spirituality isn't even something that's on their roadmap yet for them. So let's just deal with that physical substance abuse issue first. So Ibogaine, you know, and also using it in a medical setting, which is a necessity when you're dealing with addictions. These drugs get in and tear people apart. They have to be removed. You know, if you just drop safely. I mean, you don't want to it's like, I don't know what it's like.
Iboga, like out of all the medicines, I think Iboga is the one that really, there's a lot of precautionary measures, but not the medicine itself. I mean, for the medicine itself, for myself, I mean, I'm just going to explain for me. I mean, and I think Michelle can even say, when I went to do this medicine, I was beyond, I had no expectations. I had no clue, and it was powerful, and it was long, and it was really painful, but it was probably one of the most resetting experiences I've ever had. It really reset my body, like I've never had before. It was pretty amazing. I mean, I'm going to tell you, it was a powerful experience. I mean, to sit in medicine for 30, 40 hours is crazy. For the most part, I don't think that's the craziest part. I think for that medicine, it's that day after, when you're kind of putting all these structures together, and I think your brain is actually rewiring itself. And I've never felt that kind of rewiring on anything, like you're putting round circles and square holes. And maybe you can explain to that more, what that is, that gray day that, is so profound. What is that?
Well, how I've come to see it now, and in a really calm way to be able to explain this, is that, you are experiencing divinity when you take this medicine. And to be able to experience divinity like this, it has to clean you out. And cleaning you out on a physical level and a mental level, so when you say rewiring, it's more like rechanneling. And you, in order to remove those things away from you, to not be blocked and to receive, it seems like there's an understanding that needs to be taken place. So those days are about processing and understanding, so you really get it. Because not only do you want to, have these negative systems removed, you don't want to re-implicate them back in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you need to understand what it is you're getting rid of, why, and then you need to understand how you can prevent it so that you can become in harmony with the divine.
And it wasn't really a psychedelic for me either in that aspect. It was more like, I can't say that because my visions were so profound. I'd never had profound visions like that. But the effects were so like, I don't know, it just reset my mind to like a different level. And we had to experience that. And, for the addiction part of this, that like I've heard like in some cases, in some studies, it's 85%. That's amazing. And, let's talk a little bit about dosed and how you got into all that and how that kind of set the framework for all this, because there is a lot of framework under these medicines.
So often when people do the medicine, they can't wait to get out and wave the flag and help and change everyone's lives and help change their life.
Right.
It's a process.
Bravo.
I mean, I can understand it. It's not necessarily a problem. It's a reality. And I can understand it. Everyone,
I said bravo. Bravo to that. Yeah. Bravo.
Oh, bravo. Sorry. So yeah, exactly. I mean, once you realize the light you are, you want to share it. But it's a big process. And so I always was like, I knew and back in those days, like, I was going for it. I was doing lots of detoxes. I was really pushing the envelope and the boundaries of what was going on at that time. There's many people doing it as well. It's not like I was like, somewhat of a pioneer, but so are many people. And I'm very inspired to them as well. But for me personally, when the call came that they were doing a documentary and explaining what it was about, I instantly knew like I need to stand up to the plate. Whether or not, I did it in the perfect way back then, it doesn't matter. Like what I wanted to show was that, like, look, I wanted to be able to demonstrate that there's something here that can change people's lives in a fundamental way. That's working better, in a lot of cases than what's happening now.
Absolutely.
So can you talk a little bit about the documentary? What's it about? And I encourage everybody to watch this.
It's about a girl who is, on a lot of things. Some of the hardest core stuff, like you could imagine, where we have one of the most hardcore areas in the world in Vancouver. Where we are.
Yeah.
And, this girl who looks like, not like she'd be a part of that was a part of that. And so, they said, because they were just understanding, they were new as well. So they were like mushrooms and they were trying this and that. And, and to go on film is a bit of a steep step. You're kind of like putting yourself out there, which I was fine with because of the truth that I knew about that this could help people. Mm-hmm. And so they said, I said, we better change the name to, because originally the movie was called Microdose Me. So we should change it to Macrodose Me because we're not going to be microdosing like this, and now I realize that, how I did it back then is not how it should be done or how it's being done now. I'm not a proponent of that anymore.
What do you mean? The way you serve the medicine? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Back then I was doing it like in a shamanistic way. I was bombing the complete, bejesus out of people because, I wasn't putting people back on drugs the next day. And, or let me even say now, you stabilize someone on a proper opiate if you're doing an opiate detox, and then you take off like 1/3 of the withdrawal addiction, and then you put them back on 2/3 the next day, give it a few days, give them some more Ibogaine, a little bit of Ibogaine so you're not blasting them into the atmosphere. And then, so over 10 to 14 to 18 days, you're stabilizing someone, you're taking them off a little bit, you're putting them back on again, you're taking them off a little bit. Where I used to do it back then, I started doing heroin. I could knock someone right off of heroin in one night, sort of. I mean, believe me, it was complicated. But then right when Adrian came in, like we were experiencing fentanyl. So It was an entirely different beast that was coming in. She was actually one of the first people we ever had to switch to pharmaceutically through a doctor called Cadian, which is a long-acting opiate. Either way, it's a great demonstration how we can change the way that someone thinks about themselves and physically reset someone enough to change their lives. She's still sober. She's been a tremendous inspiration for a lot of people. Dosed is a great movie to be able to watch us go through something and get the message of how you can actually change someone's life that you love or yourself.
Okay, so talk to me about how the safety of coming to this medicine versus ibogaine, iboga, while you're still on the opiates, if you're still on pharmaceuticals.
Well, if you're on, so there's a lot of pharmaceuticals that you shouldn't just, drop iboga or ibogaine on. Let's just talk about ibogaine. There's amazing people in like Mexico, for instance. I know that they have protocols. They can take someone right off methadone, Suboxone, Zoloft, like all these things. You don't want to mess with antipsychotic drugs like this. Now we have benzodiazepines, which adds a whole nother. So there's just you can imagine a plethora of complications that can undergo when someone just comes and hits them. That's not how you do it. A good thing that was said to me before is you want to take the emergency out of it. There's no such thing as an ibogaine or an iboga emergency. What you want to do is get someone, and I can see this now in the traditional sense that I just did an initiation. You want to prepare someone to be able to meet this medicine so that the medicine can be effective without all these contraindications exploding and causing risk into someone's life. Why is iboga and ibogaine, they got a bad rap and it's scary sometimes? Because if it's done wrong, for one, and if you just throw it against something, that's not, it's like jumping into a concrete sidewalk instead of a pool. You need to be able to put a parachute on somebody, make a safe landing. There's so many things you can prep someone to make it safer because it has effects on the heart. It slows down what we call QT rate. And that's just something to do with the way the heart beats. And if you slow that QT rate down too much, you can go into what's called a torsades, it can cause a heart attack unnecessarily. So if someone already has a high QT rate, or if they're on methadone, which creates a slower high QT rate, and then you put iboga onto it, when ibogaine gets processed through the liver and it creates noribogaine, that slows down the QT rate too. It's an unnecessary risk. If you got alcohol, that's too much alcohol or too much benzodiazepines, these things suppress the sympathetic nervous system. So when you get iboga that wants to take it out, you get a rebound of these systems, and then you can cause things like seizures or other complications. So I guess what everyone should understand is slow down, look at this properly, find out a good provider that's going to get you prepared, and they know how to take you off of this in a slow, medically institutionalized, safe fashion. Then come to something like iboga, where, once the physical body is, cleaner, iboga is still going to clean it out, but it's a much safer environment for you to begin to explore and delve into spirituality and, what it looks like to reconnect with your soul and the divine in a more fashion. And just before I finish, I want to say, listen, ibogaine clinics also are very good for psychospiritual and therapeutic help. These I have good friends, over in Ambio Life in with Trevor Miller and Jonathan Dickinson. They're working with veterans and other things that mentally, head injuries and things like that. They're phenomenal what they're accomplishing over there. So it's not right to say that you need to come to iboga for the spiritual aspects, because it's being done, and for someone it's working. It's working. Get them on the right path. But I chose to follow the traditional way, where I use the full root bark and pay attention to what these people who have worked with this medicine for eons are teaching me, because there's a proper way to go about this, I feel. And that's what I'm learning.
Well, let's talk about preparation for iboga, because each medicine has different preparation. Each one has different sort of checklists, right? You can't be on medications for certain medicines. So I know there is generally a heart test. Is that right? You have to go get before you take iboga. What are the precautions?
Yeah. I think a heart test is really essential, because an EKG can show it's electrocardiogram, and what it does is it shows the heart rate and the beat. And people who know how to look at that, they get all these different readings. And you want to make sure your heart is stable. And like I mentioned, you want to make sure that the QT rate follows in a range that if it is a bit high and things like that, there's certain precautions that can be taken. And if there is actually exclusion zones, where if it's in an area where it's just, then you can't do the medicine. Unfortunately, there's other ways to go about things until you maybe improve that or something.
Because what's the potential? A heart attack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's potential on a lot of these medicines if they're not safe. I think But I think for Iboga, Ibogaine, I think there's more precautions with the heart and that part. But you know, at the end of the day, I think if you're searching for these medicines in that way, like when I went to IbogaSoul, they really did a great job with their medical intake. So I mean, they're taking all the precautions, don't you think, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, it's like getting to know yourself. Like, how are you supposed to know yourself if you don't know yourself? Like, so we got to get to know people, you know. And then again, there's like blood tests. We can go extreme. Like, I mean, when it comes to like what we're doing, you know, you might want to be a little. You could be maybe a little less rigorous than like someone who's coming for a drug detox. But really, like, it's better to not. Like, why not? Like, if you're coming to get to know yourself, get to know your health. Maybe there's something that you don't even know. You know, a blood test could reveal. You want to make sure someone's like liver is functioning, you know, the kidneys are functioning, especially their liver, because that's where the medicine gets processed, you know. So you don't want to run into complications there. You know, you want it blood pressure, you know, I mean, there's certain zones with blood pressure where, I mean, it's just, it would be common for anything. Like, you know, if you're going to do a marathon or something, you know, these are just precautions, like in general, like the medicine, you know, is going to, I'm not saying it gets a bad rap. It just, the information like from like things that happen to certain people, you know,
Right.
those events then get broadcast.
Right.
People don't really know the context of why those events happened. They don't know the medicine, how much medicine someone used. They don't know how they used it. They don't know what was going on and things like that. So, you know, most of the that I've read and researched, most of the incidents that have taken place could have been prevented. So now we know, and so we need to apply those practices into what we do. We want to create a super safe environment for someone so that they can focus on the healing and not the, you know, not the rest of it. So it's important.
Absolutely. So let's move on and like getting to know yourself. You just got to know yourself recently, haven't you? You just
were just there.
Yeah. You were just with the tribe. Can we talk a little bit about that? Can we touch on that some?
Yeah. I mean, I had experience. It was my fifth trip.
There you are.
It's
okay. So this is your. It looks like you guys are in a mamba line.
Mamba's a good. Is a good. It's funny you use that word because that is actually what it is. It's a snake.
Okay.
So this particular picture I'm allowed to share. I'll share, like, you know, I was really feeling the effects of the medicine at that point. I had just, you know, come from the temple, and then we went to the jungle. In the jungle, they did some things, you know, in a very, you know, I would call ritualistic way to help me connect with different, you know, aspects of nature. And, you know, and it was done in a very amazing way so that, you know, I was able to experience, you know, the medicine in a good way. And so, you know, I can say on that walk, when I was walking back, I was exploding with realizations. I was exploding with insights. Like, I'm still processing as to what, you know, kind of stuff went down when that was happening. And I was about to go back into the temple there where, you know, I was doing an initiation. And it was beautiful. And in this particular initiation, I did something called an etika, which is the real initiation. You know, and it's done in a very discreet. It's not that it's hidden. It's a way that it's preserving and protected so that, you know, people don't just try to go out and replicate what's being done because they've learned through spiritual communication how to do it properly. And so I really, you know, I feel that that's a really great thing. It's not like, you know, they should be sharing it. It's a beautiful thing that should be preserved so that it's done correctly when the person is doing it at the right time in the right place. And in the Gabonese tradition, it's protected because there's a lot of different ingredients and different things that go into this particular ceremony. You know, that really elevate me to be initiated into this way of life, this tradition that I'm very dedicated to. On another aspect, there's, you know, obviously I did medicine, you know, and
probably a lot of it. And, you know, root bark is not the tastiest thing. And I bet you it was spoonfuls.
Like what I can say, it was, definitely a lot,
Uh-huh.
definitely, like where I was like, you know, pushing my limits.
How many
And
ceremonies did you do?
well, see, that's the thing. I did a big ceremony when I got there.
Uh-huh.
I did a night, I did a ceremony that was not all night, which was me meeting the tribe and the medicine and the spirits, and them, consulting me and going over me and looking at me and saying, okay, is this guy ready? And is he approved to go through this? And then I went through the next night, a full night of, again, doing a lot of this, cleaning, I'll call it cleaning, spiritual cleaning and physical cleanings all night. And also, again, opening up to the spirits and is this guy ready, getting him ready. And then the next day after that, all night one into this, which started, you can see in the day. And then this one went all night. And, when I came back into the temple, like, we do things as looking at the fire and, a lot of medicine, and this medicine ripped through me. It tore through me in a very real way. And it's funny, like, I'm going to be processing it for a while. I've done a lot of big initiations.
One thing about this medicine, and I have to say what you just said, one thing is that processing, like I sat with you almost a year ago, and I still process this medicine. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, which is good, right? Because your mind is with you, and so as that change and configures, and to be in alignment with your body, like someone said to me, it's not body, mind, soul; it's soul, mind, body.
Right.
So, basically, what I can share too is like it really tore into my insecurities. Stuff that I thought I had a handle on, or stuff that I might have thought I was this or that. Like, basically, there's no more attention that I sort of can give to that energy, because it's limiting me and it's restricting the flow of divine love that I need to work and be, in harmony in this life.
Well, let's talk
to me about purging.
Purging?
Can I just, I just want to know about purging with Iboga.
Yeah, because I was telling Michelle when I did it, I think that, like, I've sat with a lot of psychedelics, and for the most part, like, the purge on Iboga is just beyond.
If you go eating a bunch of food and different things like that right before you go do an Iboga, I mean, the chances are you're gonna purge more. So those ceremonies that I did leading up to this, there was something that they got me to purge already without doing Iboga. So I had already started the prep process for that, which is great to see.
Uh-huh.
And the food I never used to be one big for like really pronouncing some sort of big diet or preparation with the way we eat and things like that. But I did see the way they prepped me. They cut me off of everything, except limited. I basically was limited to, fish soup and a taro root, which is, I'm sure there's a lot of different ways, but in this particular thing, I think I can share that, it was just a very strong, very limited way to keep me very filled with power and energy, but not be so, overwhelmed with all these different things. So to be honest, like in the actual ceremony of the initiation, I really only purged once, and that was after another time where it was just like, obviously it's going to happen. So it wasn't that major, to be honest. But I've also I've been through a lot of stuff in my life already. Like I've been through 4 other trips, and a lot of times purging comes from really sad, negative thoughts, and maybe stuff that happened with your parents or growing up and stuff like that. And so with this one, I think a little more, definitely mentally prepared to deal with, I'm able to just, instead of all this fear built around it all, I just, let it happen. But I'll say one thing: everything I thought that was going to happen never happened. If I thought I was going to go left, they brought me right. If I was going up,
it's typical.
They brought me down.
It's always typical of the medicine to do that. So I guess when I saw you, I had too many cheeseburgers before I left. So.
Yeah, but you're also carrying a lifetime. It wasn't about your cheeseburgers, to be honest. It was about your it was about who you are, and just
right. Go ahead, Mark, and tell us a little bit about IbogaSoul. I mean, when I was down there in Baja, I think I was down in Baja and Cabo. I sorry about that. And beautiful place, absolutely beautiful. First time I ever saw like whales like so close. But besides that, just how your space is, the small quaintness, which I think is really cool about this medicine also, because this is a really self journey. So tell us a little bit about IbogaSoul.
Yeah, IbogaSoul is rocking out. We're in Canada, so sometimes not everybody, because of the cold and things like that, we like to have options. So we decided, to go to somewhere different. And we've been to Costa Rica. I've been there like probably 15 times, and Mexico had come up, and so I researched Mexico. What's a place that could be a little bit more safer and things like that, and I found Cabo because it's on the Baja Peninsula, and it's great. It's easy to get to. The weather's great.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it blew my mind actually after going there and realizing the nature actually. Like it's not super jungly, but I mean, you got the ocean, the vast ocean, and the whales and the birds, and so we went there, we moved there, and we found a center to work out of on the west coast of the Baja, and it just worked amazingly. We had good cooks and people loved it, and I think we ran about 12 sessions since October. We're up to about 17 full sessions since October now. And when we were there, though, near the end of it, we discovered another place on the East Coast. It's called in Cabo Palma, which they call the Aquarium of the World. And it's got Serenity Reef. And this place, Baja Serenity, it's got a beautiful temple. It's got an amazing eating area. It's got 10 full, brand new, beautiful rooms that are all built, out of nice concrete, air conditioned. It's right on the ocean, and on that side it's the Sea of Cortez, so it's less wavy and windy. And again, there's plethora of whales, and the beach is swimmable, and it's amazing. So we've switched our venues over to there now. We're running our first retreat December, 4th to 11th, and then we have back-to-back retreats in February from the 6th to the 13th, and then the 16th to the 23rd.
Now, what's the retreat cost? Say what is a week? It's a week. So what is a week?
What does it look like? What does the retreat, how long, and what's involved?
The retreats are 8 days. Yeah, you get picked up, at the airport by a transport. You get brought to the facility. There's, basically 8 days. One of the days is an arrival. One of the days is a departure. 6 days is the core of the retreat. And if you could divide that 6 days into 3 days, those are the 2 ceremonies. So you have a ceremony, a recovery, and then an integration. Then you have another ceremony, recovery, and then another integration. So that's where the work is done in those days. Integration, we can do things like go snorkeling. We can go to this different pool. There's a hot springs. We're going to have different, venues that have different options available for that. Pricing, some people say, oh, it's that cheap. I'll take the most expensive one. So some people, we have these big private king rooms that are upwards of almost, $5,000 to $6,000. But we have other available options where, there's shared rooms, which again, these are big rooms with queen size beds. I think they're like 3,500. For those.
So, but you're really getting the whole experience. I mean, you're getting a whole week in beautiful Baja, and you're getting yourself, your amazing wife, Robin, you're getting the medicine, integration.
We have a really good team. We have a doctor now that's working with us that's coming. Uh-huh. I don't know if you guys met Karen Dallas when you're in.
You experienced this we talked about this about a few months ago with the 5-MeO. Listen, these studies are coming out blasted all over the place on these guys with PTSD, Stanford studies, John Hopkins, these guys going down and they're doing mostly Ibogaine, but then they're being hit with 5-MeO coming back. And I mean, they're going down and their brains are kind of gray dead. They're coming back and it's like fucking Christmas trees. They're all lit up again. Pretty powerful experiences happening right now with that. And you experienced it yourself, I think, correct?
Yeah. So, we're switching to the Bufo thing here. So,
we'll talk about this. My mind went to a different way there.
Yeah. If you don't mind, though, just finishing answering that question, though, what that week looks like. Let's
keep it in context. So, we run the doctor, and the doctor triggered him to go to Bufo. So, in our team, that's the other thing. It makes sense, Mark. I see now, because our team, actually, my team, who I'm training some people that are working with me, I'll say sharing, and so a lot of the people I'm actually working with, are coming out of this Bufo world, and they're actually Bufo practitioners. So I was very hesitant, because I'm, a traditionalist, let's call it, of mixing these things like that, and for good reason. But I experienced Bufo for my first time, and it's obviously a game changer. I can't see bringing it to the tribe and getting a shaman at this point to do it, but
I couldn't.
But anyways, what it really does is, there's no doubt that I connected with divinity in a profound way. I'm very glad that I've had a lot of experience with medicine. I felt that gave me a foundation to stand on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have, for instance, someone, we're very careful. There's people that have done Bufo after our sessions. I have someone who, has done Bufo 250 times. And when they did the Bufo after the Iboga, he said it was never like that. So I definitely am, by speaking with a lot of people now, and from my own experience, which is brief but still profound, know that there is, I feel they're a great combination that, I think Iboga can bring you divinity in your life. And so you keep yourself grounded on this planet and this earth. And I think it goes well with what that high spiritual message wants for us. I think Bufo dropped onto somebody who doesn't have a lot of work with cleaning themselves up. They could get a real serious experience that could almost be taken negatively. It's not negative. It's just the truth might be a bit too much for them at that point. So I feel that, really cleaning yourself up and becoming connected spiritually and grounded with the Iboga medicine is a great way to prepare yourself for something like Bufo. But then again, I'm not saying Bufo doesn't, Bufo is giving people who don't do Iboga. So I'm seeing a good positive correlation with the medicine. I can understand why they're using it with ibogaine and addictions or veterans, and of course, because it's giving them that, I get that divine blast with Iboga.
Absolutely.
But it's taken me, a lot of work. That's why they told me that medicine is bitter, because, you got to work for this. You got to work for spirituality. I was told, in a way one time, you want to practice Bwiti, you got to suffer, because the suffering is your payment. You got to pay and work for this, and I can see that with Bufo as well. You just go jumping into that experience. It's super easy to do.
None of these medicines are a game. You need some kind of just training it. You just need something, you've got it. You've been with the tribes, you've sat there, you have all this, you have a lot of experience, and you're humble about it. You're very humble, Mark Howard, and I think that's what we appreciate about you. And why don't we just recap everything, Michelle? Why don't we talk about IbogaSoul, going on these deep dive journeys in Iboga and what it's all about? It's not a scary medicine at all.
Yeah,
No.
and we also do. Just wanted to say we're also doing sessions in Canada as well.
Yeah.
So
You have to have me soon, right?
yeah, I have one starting in tomorrow, with just I'm going to do 3 people. So using Iboga in a very calm, smart, safe, effective manner can be and this is what the branch of the Bwiti that I'm involved with is called Masoko. And, the village I went to is called Asika. And they're an amazingly, we'll call it Orthodox Masoko. They're very steadfast in their profound dedication to preserving the tradition in that fashion. And Masoko is a branch that's come out of a Bwiti that is for healing. So, the tradition is, it sets you up to on a path that you can heal with Iboga. And I think that is where the therapy comes in, using Iboga in a therapeutic fashion. And that's what we like to focus on. When you come to me, obviously it's kind of like an initiation in a sense, but it's not. I'm not telling you that you're coming to do a traditional initiation with me, because that's not what you're going to do. The amount of work and the spiritual preparation and what they do, that to me, needs to be done in Africa with the professionals and the respected elders that I've worked with. It's try writing a letter to someone if no one ever gave you the letters of the alphabet to do it with. So, you know, but what we do is use the medicine in a very subtly profound way. Like, don't think you're not going to get an experience that you're going to, you know, get shortchanged on. That's not the case. It's not like, you know, I can down regulate Iboga. It's like you're going to have a profound experience, but we're going to direct that in a way that is, you know, for one, preparing you for an experience like Africa, you know, understanding, being introduced to the medicine and understanding, you know, the power of the medicine and the language of the medicine and the language of yourself and how you can communicate with yourself, how to begin that process and how to, like, you know, have it physically clean your body, mind, and soul, but also how to, like, have you begin to understand the way you think and how that affects your life every day.
So, Mark, how can someone begin to work with you? Do you have any, you say you've got a retreat starting tomorrow. What else do you have coming up? Do you have events and workshops, and how can somebody start to work with you?
I think that, you know, what I'm starting to be called to do is maybe setting up like where I can, you know, if people want to learn about the medicine or they want to talk or they want to have questions or they want to counsel as they're going through this on a monthly basis, like, you know, I got to start to monetize myself a bit, which is something I haven't really done. I'm not sitting there looking to become a millionaire because I know, you know, if you know, most of the richness you can get in life is free, but you do need to support ourselves as we go through this. And
well,
I can start
tool
offering
to process it. Money's a tool to evolve all this.
You know, people are going to get what they pay for with me. Like, I mean, if you want guidance, I can give it to you. So that's what it is. It's I want people to understand that, you know, you want to approach this slowly, you know, slowly and with reverence. And so, you know, and then just be careful what you read and what you try to absorb on the internet. What?
He can't see it.
Oh, he can't see it.
It's a picture of you. It says about Mark.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. You know, you want to approach it with reverence and you want to be slow because, you know, you come to the medicine in fear with doubt and fear, obviously, because that's where your mind is. That's why you're having problems. You know, your mind is running your life. You're being, you know, dragged around like on a dog leash. And, you know, you're controlled by your limiting belief systems. You know, you're living in the anxiety of assumptions. You're being held back and dragged through life by, you know, previous attachments to like memories and understand, you know, so what you want is profound change, and it's okay. Come slow, you know, take it as you can. You can't eat a, you know, well, how do you need an elephant? I don't want to eat an elephant. So how do you need an elephant? One bite at a time.
Bite. Mark, tell us what has been the biggest lesson you've received from this medicine and continues to be a lesson in your life.
You know, it's just to listen. Yeah, learn to listen. You know, I mean, that pretty much puts it all into perspective, because if you learn to listen to your soul and you learn to listen to spirit and learn to listen to divinity, then all the answers that I could sit and say that you're going to learn they're going to come to you in the way you need them. And, you know, listen has the same letters as silent. I always like that one. So learning to, you know, for me, I guess I'm very fast and paced a lot and different things like that. But I'm learning to slow down lately, you know, and that's one thing I want to say about this experience. I felt like, you know, it's kind of cool thing. I just realized, like, you know, I came back and a lot of people do it when they come back from the medicine and they see their family members and everything. They're like, you've not been changed, you know, nothing's changed with you. You're still the same. And it's right with me right now. Like, I still react the same. I was like, you know, reacting the other day, like, you know, like I'm still like a bit of crazy, but what was different is that I recognized it. And that's the coolest part, is like, and now I'm just slowing down. Okay. You know, I'm not going to get into the whole, like, cause it doesn't change you necessarily. It does in a bigger, profounder way you can even understand. It changes you overnight, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everything's going to be changed overnight, because it gives you the torch to hold on to, you know, and you have to light the torch, and you have to, like, you know, hold on to that light now and just start working on it daily, you know. The truth is despicable unless you make it applicable.
What's your Bwiti name? What do they name you?
Musingi.
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 Yeah.
Musingi.
Musingi.
Mark
Musingi
Howard.
is, yeah.
The moose.
How can we find you? Where can we
Yep.
find you?
You find me on IbogaSoul.com. That's it. You just go to IbogaSoul.com. Any information you want, any questions you have, don't feel obliged to like come into a session or sign up, like whatever. We'll just answer them anyways. You know, come into this medicine, and there's other people you might feel more comfortable with, and that's great too. Just, you know, go with what you think and what your soul tells you. That's it.
So we can find you on the Plant Medicine Pad too, because he is a preferred retreat center. So
Yeah.
that's all cool.
Great.
So we can find you on BC.
Find me in BC. We're going to be in Mexico. We have beautiful retreats there. You know, like, you know, if the cost is a problem, well, start saving up and come to one later.
Yeah.
You know, there's the cost is so negligible. Like, really, in reality, what I see now compared to like the investment, like what you actually put into your life. So
Such the truth about that too. Such the truth. Everybody says, you know, this experience will change your life. An experience. I don't recommend. It's a pretty big medicine. This isn't a baby. You know, this is a big time medicine. It's like ayahuasca on steroids. It's a big one, and you got to be careful. You got to have a great practitioner. You got to have an educated practitioner, but you have to respect these medicines a lot, because you're going to change. Your whole structure of you is going to change, and you're going to have to accept that change. It's just beautiful.
yeah, you know, I would imagine that it was pretty scary to take our first steps. You know, like,
Yeah.
but look at us now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
walking, and then that's the whole thing. You learn to dance through life. So
Yeah.
overcome
Beautiful.
that fear.
We love having you on. I hope you'll come back and talk to us again.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a really nice, good, slow way to be able to educate people, to help them. You know, if they're really interested in this medicine, it's not something to be afraid of. It's something to embrace. So, you know, and that's basically an analogy for people's lives. You know, spirituality and divinity and your soul is not something to be afraid of. It's something to embrace. So may we live in harmony with the divine.
I say. The only thing really scary about the Iboga journey is the music. The music. Oh my God. The bleeding music. To drive you a little nutty.
Well, it's meant to do that, but it gets you. It's just because your mind was completely, you know, in a different zone. Like I find over many people that, as you know, it's kind of like ironing out the crinkles in a really, you know, crusty shirt. It just takes a while, and then, you know, once you really get into flow and alignment with yourself, that music it's spiritual vibrations that come directly from the divine, and it'll begin to resonate with you on a much different level where you'll actually look forward to it, and it's quite beautiful.
I could see that.
Do
I
they
could
play
see
that music?
eventually.
Do they do that? Do they play it the whole time you're in Africa?
At that time,
Way more than what you've heard. Yeah, it's a staple.
It's part of the process.
Totally.
part of the process. Well, we love you,
Beautiful.
Mark.
I mean, there's times when, you know, it's quiet because the elders are talking.
Right.
That's a lot of too. It's just sharing wisdom, you know, and because everyone's on the medicine and we're just sharing wisdom. Like, listen, this whole thing is about like their own preservation of their own culture. They're bringing up the babies right to the elders. The tradition is set up in a way so everyone gets respected right along the way. And as they learn to live on this earth and become, you know, in harmony with spirituality, you know, what happens after that? And then it starts again. You know, that's what it's about.
Absolutely. Well, we love you, my friend.
We love you
else,
guys
Michelle?
too. What?
No, we just love having you on.
Yeah, it's great.
love
I'm stoked
Robin.
that we're back.
We love the kids. We're
We're gonna come down and see you guys in February, and we'll
We
get a
are
little
going
footage
down in
maybe when we're
February.
down there.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's
I'm glad
for
to hear
sure,
that.
for sure. We're
Yeah,
going
for sure do
definitely
that one.
February.
It's going to be
Yep.
We got really cool networks opening up now with lots of really cool people. It's exciting. So let's keep it up.
Yeah, thank
Cool
you.
stuff.
Thank you so much.
It's nice to be a part of something when you know that, you know, it's something good,
Absolutely.
Thank you, my friend.
right? Like with
Definitely
Mama
something
Dogs.
good.
Okay.
Mama
That's right.
Dogs. We'll talk about that later. We love you, baby.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Okay.
joining us.
Basi.
Ciao, ciao.
Basi.
Basi.
So that was an amazing show. Wow, Mark Howard is such a cool story.
He is. He's just a unbelievably knowledgeable guy, and just some really great takeaways from there is, this medicine is, explore it, investigate it. It's really not that scary. And the greatest takeaway I could take from this medicine is like the opioid addiction that's out there. Brutal. Wouldn't you agree, Michelle?
Absolutely brutal.
The 85% success rates in some of these studies is just mind-boggling. So
I have two very dear and close friends, very close friends, whose two of their children have passed from fentanyl poisoning. Two people that I know really well that their children have passed. This opioid addiction is
out of control.
It's a crisis, and this is a solution.
Yeah, definitely a solution. Fentanyl's out of control. So, key takeaways, great guy, great family, great organization, just really good people, connected to other centers around the country. And, just something to look into. It's not only it's about all the plants. We need to explore them all. So what's coming up next, Michelle?
Absolutely. So next week we've got Thanksgiving. So I think we're quiet on medicine with the metals.
Gobble, right?
Gobble, gobble. Boy, we have a lot of cool guests coming up, though. I am so excited for the rest of the year and starting next year. We've got Acacia Lewis coming up in a couple of weeks. We saw her up in Vancouver. She is a modern day philosopher and spiritual leader in this world. She's incredible. So stay tuned for that.
She is really awesome. Y'all an upcoming star there.
Yeah, she's incredible. What else do we have going? One of our affiliates, Mama Dose, has got an incredible deal right now for Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. What is that about?
I think it's that Black Friday. Buy a 90, get a 90. Buy a 30, get a 30. They're always looking to help people. They're always looking to solve some, great company. Great company is like and say.
Mamadose.com. Go find them. So thanks so much. Today was fun. We love the Howards. They're great friends of ours. So this has been a fun time for sure.
Very much fun. Join us next
Where
week.
can you find us?
Medicine with the Metals.
ThePlantMedicinePath.com, Mamadose.com, MedicineWithTheMetals.com, and Church of the Sacred
Instagram,
Plants.
YouTube, Facebook, all the social media platforms. Information, education, integration.